Can I have your attention, please? I want to welcome everybody and thank you for coming to the Pay As You Throw informational meeting. Just a few things to go over first. First of all, my name is Paul Tilton. I'm the DPW Director and Town Engineer for Sandwich. Some introductions as well. We have Stephen Massey, who's our General Foreman, Sean Mulroy, Transfer Station Foreman right here. John Craig over here is from Waste Zero. He's with the company that makes the bags and will be helping us implement the Pay As You Throw program. I see some members out here of our solid waste advisory team as well. And again, I thank you for coming. Just a couple ground rules and the format for tonight. I'm going to make a presentation about the Pay As You Throw to discuss the basics, to hopefully educate you about that. I'm also going to talk about recycling a little bit, give you a little bit of a recycling demonstration to try to help you understand what can and cannot be recycled. I have a few items in this bag down here that we always get questions about, so hopefully that'll help you out as well. I do want to make it clear that tonight, the intent of the meeting is not for a back and forth discussion about Pay As You Throw. The intent really is for us to inform you of what the program is and hopefully answer some questions that you may have at the end of the night. Bathrooms, in case you need to use those, opposite corners over here. And I would request that you hold any questions to the end of the presentation, unless you have a real urgent question you need to ask. I'd appreciate if you waited to the end. For those of you that have signed up over there, we're having a recycling bin giveaway. If you haven't signed, feel free to sign up. Just a little incentive for you to stay throughout the whole night. Might be a little boring, so it's a little incentive to keep you here. But with that, I'm going to get out of your way. I'm going to switch mics here. Okay, again, this is for the informational Pay As You Throw meeting, and I'm going to go over the basics of the program just to give you a better understanding of where we started, why we chose this program, and how it's beneficial for the town. And if you go to the next slide, please. The first slide is, the question is, why change? Why do we need to change the system that we have currently? And solid waste disposal has changed dramatically over the last 25, 30 years. I personally remember when I was young, we had curbside pickup and a transfer station. We had the best of both worlds. And everything seemed to be covered in the taxes. You never had to worry about that. Well, things have changed over the years, and state regulations have required us to become better stewards of the environment, all of us, and for good reason. And the dumps, as we used to call them, are things of the past. The landfills, there's no new landfills being sited anywhere in Massachusetts, and for most of the country as well. So we've had a capacity problem with the solid waste. We still have solid waste, and we have issues of where to dispose of it. Also, every year, we're faced with what's called waste bans. And a waste ban is an item that can no longer be thrown away and has to be recycled. We'll get these updates from the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection each year, DEP. Seems like every year we have a new waste ban. So all these dynamics together are what's driving up the cost of solid waste disposal. Next slide, please. I just want to give you a quick rundown of the disposal process and how it works in Sandwich. You probably all recognize the pit, or that's the rail right there. That's where you first dispose of your trash. And from the rail, it's dropped right into these trucks, our trailers. The trailers take them from our transfer station over to number 3 here, which is the Upper Cape Regional Transfer Station at Otis. And from Otis, it's transported into these trains. You see some rail cars at the bottom here. And this is the Mass Coastal Railroad. They take the trash on the rail, and eventually they go to the next slide, please. This is CMAS, which is in Rochester. Essentially, all the solid waste goes here for incineration. It gets burned at this plant. And this photo, it shows what's happening here is this train is being tipped. And that's where the terminology tipping fee comes from. A tipping fee is basically a disposal fee. The tipping fee covers the cost for CMAS to dispose of our trash. And the problem with the process, it's a good process, but what's happening now is the transportation and disposal fees are increasing every year. We've got a real good rate for about 20 years of $37 per ton from CMAS to dispose of this trash. Unfortunately, our contract's running out, and the market right now is a lot higher because of that capacity problem. No one really wants to take trash these days. So the question is, how do we address this? Next slide, please. What we did is we were directed by the Board of Selectmen to develop a solid waste advisory team, basically called SWAT. And what this team was directed to do was to take a look at the alternatives, and not only pay-as-you-throw, but other alternatives for us, such as curbside with or without recycling. We also looked at keeping the transfer station as it is, so we don't change the system at all. We also looked at what's called a washed hands community, and what that is there are some towns that, because of the costs are going up, they don't want to be in the business of solid waste anymore. The towns are under no obligation to collect trash and dispose of it. So that would just altogether get rid of the transfer station. It's an option that's not the best because we lose control of recycling, but it is an option that some towns are looking at. The other option we looked at as well was the pay-as-you-throw, which is what we're talking about tonight. And the focus of the advisory team really was on recycling, mainly because recycling is by far the best way to reduce our solid waste tipping fees. Essentially, if you don't have waste, you don't have to pay those tipping fees. Recycling is free after all. After much research and analysis, the SWAT group chose pay-as-you-throw as the best option of all the alternatives we looked at. Next slide, please. So, why pay-as-you-throw? Well, as I mentioned, it is the most effective way to increase recycling. It's also a proven method. Over 130 towns in Massachusetts have adopted pay-as-you-throw. Some towns have been doing it for many years now. And as you can see in this map up here, it shows all the towns in the green and the yellowish color. Those are the towns that have adopted pay-as-you-throw. It's just the two colors distinguish the towns with curbside and the towns with the transfer station drop-off like ours. I believe the green is the drop-off. You can see here Cape Cod's kind of white right now, but there are a lot of communities right now across Massachusetts that are adopting that. And there are a few that are looking at it as well, similar to us. I was first a little bit skeptical about the program, and I had heard about it, I'd read about it, but I wasn't quite ready to accept it yet. And what I did as part of our advisory team, I did a lot of research. I had another member who did some research as well. And I contacted a lot of communities, a lot of DPW directors, a lot of town officials, and I really drilled them about the pay-as-you-throw program. I was trying to find out if there's any flaws in it, what were the negatives, if any, and not one of them said they regretted adopting the pay-as-you-throw program. Next slide, please. Another reason why pay-as-you-throw makes sense is it's more equitable, and I want to talk to you about this chart up here. Right here, I'm showing a couple households, household 1 and household 2. Household 1 has about 9 bags of trash per week that they dispose of. Household 2 has 1 bag of trash and 3 recycling bins. Maybe household 2 compost as well. But you can see the difference between the two is that the town has to pay 9 times as much to dispose of this trash, household 1 versus household 2. And that's awfully costly to the town. But as you can see down below, right here, the fee for each household is the same. It's $110 per year, which is the sticker fee. So it's not really a fair system. The household on the right that doesn't generate much trash and also recycles is subsidizing the household on the left, household 1. So it's not really a fair system. It's important to mention that recycling is free as well. We've had some questions about will pay-as-you-throw require us to use the bags for recycling? No, recycling will remain free as it always has been. Now, the pay-as-you-throw program is very similar to utility fees, such as gas, water, and electricity, where you pay for what you use. And pay-as-you-throw is really no different. With pay-as-you-throw, basically, you pay for what you dispose of. And in this case, household 1 with pay-as-you-throw, right here, they would have to pay for all their bags, the 9 bags, probably about $10 for all of them. Household 2 would pay for the 1 bag. Again, recycling is free, and they'd pay about $1.20 based upon the prices we're proposing. Next slide, please. So how does pay-as-you-throw work? Well, it's very simple. Basically, you go to the stores you see up here. These are the stores that have expressed interest in participating in the program. They will sell the bags, and you'll purchase blue town bags with a town seal on them as well. And you can get those at these local stores. As you can see here, there's supermarkets, hardware stores, convenience stores, and even a car wash, which I think is the first of its kind. It's also important to note that these stores cannot make a profit off the bags, and also that the bags are tax-free. Next slide. Now, the disposal process is essentially the same. Nothing's going to change with pay-as-you-throw. You bring it down to the pit or the rail, and you drop them in as you normally would. Only now, you've got the 2 blue bags you're throwing in with the town seal instead of the other bags you used to throw in. Next slide, please. Also, the recycling system is not changing at all. It's still free. The operations will still remain the same at that location. The only difference might be that we might experience some increased traffic out there. There might be a little more congestion out there, which is a problem that I welcome. If that's happening, that means pay-as-you-throw is working and the town is reducing their cost. And if it comes to the point where it gets a little too congested, we'll evaluate operations at that location and make some changes if we have to, whether it be with the traffic or adding additional compactors out there to make it more convenient for the people recycling. The next slide, the bag fees, is what you've all been waiting for. And just to let you know, next slide, please. This is what, oop, missed it. Go back. I'm sorry. Did you go back one? Okay, skip. We missed a photo. Anyway, with the proposed bag fees, what we're looking at is 3 different sizes. As you can see up here, we have the 8-gallon. And the main reason for the 8-gallon is a lot of the elderly people who don't generate a whole heck of a lot of trash, they requested that we have a smaller bag for them because they really don't need the bigger bags. That bag would be 25 cents per bag. And the bags come in rolls. Is that correct? Not packages? Right, come in rolls of 5. So a roll of 5 would cost you $1.25. A 15-gallon bag would cost 60 cents per bag, and for a roll would be $3. 30-gallon bag is $1.20 per bag. It costs $6 per roll. Again, as I mentioned here, recycling is free. It's important to recognize that. And actually, I want Sean to show you the size of the bags so you can get a feel for what they look like. The smaller bag is basically sort of an office-type size bag, which is the 8-gallon. The 15-gallon, that's actually a 14, but we're using 15, about that size. And then we have a 30-gallon as well, which is the biggest bag we offer. Now, these aren't our colors. These are different towns from Dartmouth, as you can see. And I'm going to ask Sean to pass these around so you can get a feel for what they feel like. They have drawstrings. We've had questions about the strength of the bags, the thickness. The small bag is about 1.25 mil, and the 2 larger bags are 1.5 mil, which should give it sufficient strength to hold trash. Now, I understand people are probably going to stuff these bags. So the bags are heavy duty. They're going to take a beating, I'm sure, but I guess if you get to the point where you stuff it too much, it's going to break, and then we all have problems. Next slide, please. The sticker fee is, what we're going to do there is we're going to reduce that to $55 per year. That's the proposal for that cost. And because we're starting the pay-as-you-throw bag program July 1st of this year, in order to offset the bag fees, we're extending the sticker coverage for the stickers you bought this year until June 30th of 2012. So essentially it gives you a full year and a half with your stickers that you purchased this year. Now the bag and sticker fees will be adjusted each year based upon the success of the program. They'll also be adjusted based upon the budget goals of the town of Sandwich. For example, do we want to have pay-as-you-throw cover 75% of the transfer station budget? Do we want it to cover 100% of that transfer station budget? And how much should we have the taxes cover the transfer station budget as well? So it's something that the selectmen are going to have to decide each year, and I'll go in front of them to determine how they want to proceed with the pay-as-you-throw budget splits and also the bag cost. Next, please. So you're probably wondering, how can you reduce your costs for trash disposal? And there are a few things you can do, and I recommend that practice the 3 R's. You may have heard these, very popular. It's reduce, reuse, and recycle. And I'm going to briefly touch upon each of these. The first is reduced, and what that looks at doing is avoiding buying products with lots of packaging that has to be thrown away. A lot of products you buy has packaging, excess packaging that you can't recycle and you have to throw away, so that'll add to your cost. Also, we recommend buying products that can be recycled. You can also take your name off the mailing list of junk mail companies, and we have, oh, next slide please, sorry. We have the website right here, DMA Choice, that you can pull up to get your name off of some of those junk mail lists. We have information on that as well. Also, we recommend composting, and you can see there's a couple composters here. This one is it's a container where your compost is contained in this. It's called the Earth Machine. We also have this one right here, which is something you can probably build yourself. Stores sell that as well. Or if you just want to make a pile of leaves and grass, that works as well. It will decompose over time. One thing that I like to do is I use pallets. I find them, people who are getting rid of the pallets on the side of the road, I use those, put them together, and they make great compost bins. Another thing that you can do to reduce your waste is to remove food scraps from your trash. And food scraps can be composted as well. I don't recommend fats or meats because that attracts rodents. But if you are going to compost your food scraps, you can use either one of these. This is probably the better one because it is contained. But if you use one of these, you throw it in and you bury it with dirt or soil, and the rodents usually stay away from that. One thing that I've done recently is I used to have a bowl in my house. I would just throw the food scraps in the bowl, and it tend to get a little messy, and sometimes you get the fruit flies. But what I found out is that they sell these bags. These are biodegradable bags. And now what I do is I just stick this bag in a pail, has a top on it, and I put the food scraps in here. A couple days or a week later, tie it up, and I'll throw it right in my compost bin, and this will decompose with the food scraps and your leaves and your grass as well. So that's an option that you can use. One other thing you can look at is purchasing what are called red wiggler worms. There's a farm on Cape Cod in Buzzards Bay where you can actually purchase worms, and they're different than earthworms. Earthworms will eat this, but these red wiggler worms sort of accelerate the composting process. They can eat and produce compost, I think, their weight in a day. And as all you gardeners out there know, that's called black gold. It's great stuff if you're into gardening. Next slide, please. The next one is the reuse. Now, we're all aware of the time-honored tradition of hand-me-downs. I'm not too proud to say that I use the hand-me-downs of my brother, He has a fashion statement, so every year he sends me his clothes, and I'm wearing his shoes right now, as a matter of fact. So I highly recommend that. Garage sales are a great way to rid yourself of unwanted items. You can donate your clothes right at the transfer station. We have clothing bins there. On the right, this is an informational web page we have on our town website, and it lists some organizations, and there's numerous other ones as well, that in these groups, they accept donations, they buy or sell items, and some will even pick up the items at your house. And many of these donations that you make are also tax deductible. Next slide, please. The third R, and the most important one, is recycle. Simply put, the more you recycle, the more you save with pay-as-you-throw. Currently, the town recycles at a rate of about 30% overall. And with pay-as-you-throw, communities generally recycle at about 45%. Some are higher, some are a little bit lower, but on average, it's about 45%. Based upon our analysis of these numbers, we determined that with pay-as-you-throw, a household of 3 is going to pay about the same that you're paying right now. And so a household of 1 and 2, you're going to be paying less than you're paying now. Household of 4, 5, you're going to be paying a little bit more than you're paying right now. And that's all depending on how much you recycle. If you recycle at a higher rate, you can bring your costs down, get it below what you're paying right now. And I just want to tell you about a little experiment that I did with my family, a family of 5, and I do recycle. I'm at about 35–40% with the standard recyclables, the glass, the plastics, cans, so on. So I took those, I got those out of the waste stream, and then I took my solid waste, my trash, I dumped it on the ground, and I started going through that and picking out items that could still be recycled that I missed and my kids missed. And there was food scraps in there was paper, some plastic, and when I separated those, put those into recycling, I was able to reach a 65 to 70% recycling rate. It takes a little work, I admit, but it's achievable. And if you really put the effort into it, you can reach a high rate. And at that 65% rate, a family of 5 would be paying less than they're paying right now with the current system, if you can recycle 65%. Next slide, please. This is a graph that shows, in general, what's in the waste stream right here, what you typically find in the waste stream of things that are not recycled. Paper is obviously pretty high. That's one thing I noticed in my stream. I had a lot of paper. Yard trimmings. This is from 2005, so the numbers may have changed a little bit. I'm guessing that the yard trimmings probably aren't as high anymore because most people do compost, and we offer drop-off of the leaves and grass at our facility as well. But it gives you an idea of what can be recycled. And really, the key to reducing your costs is that at least 50% of this waste created at home is easily recycled. And if you go a little bit above and beyond that and reach that 65–70%, you can really reduce your cost. Just one thing I want to point out, and some of you may be aware of, the town of Nantucket has a recycling rate town-wide of over 90%, which I think is the highest in the nation. They made great efforts to encourage their residents to recycle. They're also on an island, so it's a little more expensive to dispose of solid waste, so there is an incentive there. But that's the same incentive we're going to be faced with in the future when the costs go up double, if not triple, the cost than what we're paying right now. Next. Just to sort of give you an overview of some of the other benefits of pay-as-you-throw, we've estimated the cost savings or the cost reduction with the pay-as-you-throw program about $100,000 the first year for the town. By 2015, with the increased tipping fees, we expect to reduce the solid waste fees by about $200,000. And by doing that, we can pass on to the users this savings to keep the cost down for the bags and the stickers as well. The environmental benefits, they're pretty clear. By removing the recyclables out of the waste stream, we reduce the greenhouse gases. We can also save on raw materials, the natural resources, and the energy consumption. So that's all sort of a bonus to this pay-as-you-throw program. If there are any negatives to it, and I'm sure some people are concerned about this, as I am as well, and that's the illegal dumping. Will there be more people dumping? on our side roads. And it was one concern that I had, and I did talk to a lot of the DPW directors about that. And they said that that concern was a bit overstated. In some towns it did happen, but it wasn't really that much. I think that most of the things that are found on the back roads are not so much your daily trash, it's your large items, might be your refrigerator. So it's a concern that might be a bit overstated. But if it's something that does happen, we thought about some steps to address that. And we can look at increased enforcement and also increased fines. We also had a program with DEP that had hidden cameras set up so we can identify the people who are dumping trash, so that's an option in the future as well. Next, please. This is our town website. It's got a lot of the information that you've seen on the table over there, and it's got other information about pay-as-you-throw as well as recycling. I urge you to pull it up at any time. That concludes my presentation about pay-as-you-throw. The next step is to talk a little bit about recycling, and then we'll get into the questions and answers at the end of the recycling demo. What I want to do now is I'm going to pull out this is a pay-as-you-throw bag right here. Ours is going to be similar to this, a little darker, but I've got some recyclables in here and some non-recyclables that people have asked us questions recently about what can and cannot be recycled. I'm just going to kind of pull some of the stuff out. This is a cereal box. It can be recycled. Usually if it tears, you can recycle it. So that goes in the recycling bin. This bag does not go in with that. You can put this bag at every recycling container we have. It's a garbage can. You've probably seen the Stop and Shop bags or the supermarket bags. That's where you deposit those. They go right in there. Don't put them into the large recycling containers. Put them into containers where we are accepting these. So it can be recycled. Let's see. Just your typical strawberry container. It has the triangle in the back. Anytime, if you're not sure, if you see that triangle, that usually indicates that you can recycle it. That can be recycled. One question that comes up a lot, Burrito Bistro, great burritos, is styrofoam. Now, styrofoam cups like from Dunkin' Donuts or styrofoam for food, it's a little bit of confusion regarding styrofoam. There are some companies that do accept it, some companies that do not. Currently, ours does not accept the styrofoam. We're talking with them. We're hoping that they do accept it. If they don't, we might seek someone else who does accept it because it's a big part of the waste stream. All of the Dunkin' Donut cups, they are styrofoam. So right now, we do not accept this. Here's another question we usually get. A glass. Yeah. Similar to a glass bottle. Why can't that be recycled? It's different properties than your bottles, so that cannot be recycled. That goes into your solid waste stream. Here's the Dunkin' Donuts styrofoam cup. Again, cannot be recycled. Hopefully in the future, we will be able to recycle this. Obviously, this is recyclable. You can leave the cap on. It's no problem leaving the cap on. I usually kind of crush them. Because as you're going to find out, if you are recycling, your barrels are going to fill up pretty quickly. I'm using a garbage can now for my recycling because it fills up so quick. So I just crush it. My kids love to step on these things, and that's my compacting machine, so that is recyclable. Let's see, we got a package. Here's one of those packages where, what do we do with this? It's got paper and plastic. So basically, the paper is recyclable, plastic is not. Simply take that out, that goes back into the garbage can, the solid waste stream. Books. If you can donate them, if they're worth something, there are companies out there that will take them. Unfortunately, if you want to recycle this, you have to take the paper out. The hardcover cannot be recycled. Is that right? It's kind of a pain, but if you're looking to reduce costs, take the paper out. Otherwise, find a company that might want a construction management book. Paper plates, those can be recycled, preferably without the food waste on them. What I do is, when I have picnics or whatever, everybody has a napkin. Use that napkin, wipe it off, throw it into the recycling bin. That can be recycled. Magazines can be recycled. They go with the paper. It looks like it's waxy, but this is typical paper. That can be recycled. Cans can be recycled. You don't have to take the paper off, but if you're real anal about recycling, feel free. Put the paper and the tin into the commingled. The commingled is all the plastic, glass, and cans. Chips, not recyclable. Okay, that's not paper. Has to go back into the waste stream. Your common 6-pack for plant seedlings has a triangle on it, recyclable. It's common during the spring days. Glass, yes. Don't have to take the top off, leave it on. Let's see. Same thing with this. It has the triangle in the back. Even this plant directions has the triangle on it as well. So that's recyclable. Your mail, FedEx, post office, whatever, it's not paper, not recyclable. Back into the waste stream. This is also the bubble wrap. That's not recyclable, part of the waste stream. Bubblegum wrap, waxy. That's waxy, you can't recycle that. Same thing for little candy wrappers as well. That can't be recycled. Let's see, I think that's about it. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to questions, and because we're being taped tonight, I request that you speak into the microphone, speak clearly into the microphone so that we can hear you. And I think the best way to do this maybe is to start with this side, and we'll go on down the line, move over to this side, move on down the line. Then we can come back if we have to, so everybody gets a chance to ask that first question. So at this point, I'll open up to any questions.
Hi, Dan Brunn, Agnes Street. I understand there's a surplus of recycle bins at the DPW barn, and I just wonder what the plan is to get those out to the citizens of the town.
We do have some recycling bins, and right now we don't have enough for everybody. The intent is to get a recycling bin for everybody who still is part of the town transfer station program. And as part of the Pay As You Throw program, we applied for a grant to receive money for that. And once the program is officially approved, which means the fee hearing, the prices for the bags, the stickers is approved, we'll send our application into DEP, we'll get reimbursed for that. Then we'll purchase enough of these bins to give to every household who's still with the transfer station program. Anybody else?
Francis Devaney, 87 Freeman Avenue. Before I came here tonight, I went to Cumberland Farm. I went to Cumberland Farm, and I bought a bag of. Can you hear? Talking? Really close? Better? Better? Much better? Okay. Before I came here tonight, I went to Cumberland Farm, and I bought a package of bags, 30-gallon, 3 mil, not a mil and a half. And the price on it was $3.39. So the cost per bag was 39 cents. The same bag that you're going to charge all of us, $1.20. Where's all the money going?
The money that we're not profiting off of this, the money we're making from the bags goes back into this disposal cost for the trash, goes back into covering the budget for the transfer station. Now, with the pay-as-you-throw system, as I said before, the bag fees and the sticker fees would be adjusted each year based upon what the budget is. If the budget goes down, if we're able to save money by reducing our solid waste, then those bag fees will go down as well.
same name, at $1.20 a bag, $1.20 a bag that you're going to charge the consumer or the taxpayer. If I use 3 bags a week, that's an additional $5 a week. 52 weeks a year is $250. I've already paid $100, so that's $250, and $100 is $350. So my disposal costs are going from $110 to $300. I'm 74 years old, I'm not complaining, I'm still alive. But can you imagine going up 200%? So where does the money go? How much are you paying for those bags that you're selling me for $1.20?
The intent of the program is to increase recycling. The bags are going to cost more. I understand that. How much more? I showed you the screen there's different size bags and different, my cost. The town's not going to make any money selling the bags. It's going to go back into the budget. The sticker fee is being reduced to $55, okay, first of all. Yeah. Okay. So your concern is that you've already paid your sticker. Why am I paying for bags right now? Okay. Now what? Yeah. Now, the decision as to what to do with the money is not my decision. It's the Board of Selectmen decision. If they want to use that tax money for other programs that are underfunded, if they want to give the tax money back to the residents, that's not my decision. That's a decision they have to make every year. The 120 came from the cost to cover the transfer station budget, which is a part of that is subsidized by the taxpayers. Okay, the other part of that comes from the stickers. Okay, the sticker fee has been reduced, and the bags will cover the rest of that. Anybody else?
When can we expect these bags to be in the stores to sell?
I believe they'll be ready mid-June. Is that correct? Mid-June. The stores that we showed you earlier should have all these bags on stock.
Peter Gwynn, Cardinal Road. If we buy 4 8-gallon bags, 32 gallons, it's going to cost $1. If we buy 1 30-gallon bag, it's going to cost $1.20. Does that make sense?
As I mentioned in my presentation, the reason for the 8-gallon bag was at the request of the elderly who don't generate as much trash. They're also on fixed income, so the rate per gallon is lower for that smaller 8-gallon bag. That's why we have that price.
So why don't we all buy 8-gallon bags?
You could. It might be a little inconvenient, but
My question is, our dump stickers right now are 110. My wife gets a discount on hers because it's a second car. You haven't mentioned anything about a discounted rate for the second car. Will there be a discounted rate?
the discounted rate for the second car is $10, as it is right now. And that's just basically to cover the price of the sticker and any administration fee for that.
Hi, Paul. Ellen Yaffe, Village Drive. It was been my understanding that the entire program is about containing our costs because we have a looming crisis ahead of us with the tipping fees at CMAS. So if we continue to send as much rubbish to CMAS as we do now, in the year 2015, when the rates go up, we will have a really a huge, actually, increase in the cost to run our dump. And that will impact on taxpayers. So the whole idea is to reduce our trash, and this is the program we've chosen. And I'm for more recycling and reducing our trash, absolutely. What I don't think you explained or mentioned was the whole process of the procurement process and how you chose the company. This company is selling the bags and helping us run the program. How were they chosen? And what is their profit margin on the bags? We're all concerned about the cost of the bags. How were this company chosen to work with us and sell us the bags? And what's the difference? What is the profit margin to them?
We tossed around a couple different options for the pay-as-you-throw system, and one was we could hire another employee to help implement the system, oversee it. The other option was to use what's called the state bid. The state has different vendors you can choose from a variety of different construction projects or purchases. Waste Zero was one of the vendors as part of that state bid process. There was 3 others. I contacted all of them. I talked to them about their program, what they had to offer, what their bag prices were. And based upon the discussions I had with those companies, Waste Zero provided the best services for implementing the program, not only for the bag sales, which they gave us a pretty good rate on, but also from start to finish, they had the most experience and most knowledgeable about implementing the pay-as-you-throw program. And for us, we thought that the first couple of years, it made a lot of sense because we're coming through this cold. It makes sense to have someone that knows what they're doing to help us implement this program.
Hi, my name's Steve. The question I have is, okay, so we know that somebody is going to make the bags, right? And let's say you got a 30-gallon bag, and it now costs you $1.20 a piece. Sold in lots of 5, so it costs you $6 for a package of 30-gallon bags, right? What is the town's cost for those bags? And when the money comes above the cost for the bags that the town gets off the bags, why is that not being directed to the transfer station, right, to contain costs? And why would it be maybe going into a general fund?
As part of this plan, we looked at a bunch of different options for the accounting system. We looked at a revolving fund, enterprise fund. We chose the enterprise fund, which does just what you mentioned. And any money or any revenue generated as part of the pay-as-you-throw program goes back into the transfer station. If the recycling market goes up, that money goes back into the transfer station. That money will either be used for operations, it'll be used to control the cost for the bags and the stickers. So the more you recycle, the better that recycling market gets, the cheaper it's going to be, and the better we'll be able to control those costs for the bags and stickers.
Hi, I'm Pam McDermott at 74 Mill Road, and my concern is about the illegal dumping. I mean, you even discounted it tonight by saying it's overstated. I don't think you're taking it seriously. You go right by my house, it's a huge dumping area, and it's been that way for years, and the police, there's no way they can up their patrol of the area. They've got so much to do, so I'd like to know really what you think is good, and there's no way you can put any kind of video camera or anything. That's really absurd, really. And I mean, someone went by my house going 60 miles an hour the other day, and I called the police, and they didn't come out for that. So how are they going to come out if someone's dumping? And I don't even see them dumping. So, and that's all about environmental waste right there. Thanks.
We do understand your concern, And as I mentioned, we can look at increasing enforcement, the fines. When we find sites like that, we go through the bags. We look for mailing address, people's names. We find them. The camera program has worked. We've actually caught people before. If it shows that pay-as-you-throw is resulting in additional dumping, we will take measures to take care of that, whether it be gates or whatever it's going to take. We hope that the people of Sandwich are civil in that they understand and buy into the program and are not going to start throwing their trash all over Sandwich. We understand your concern.
Gene Morrow, 177 Route 6A. I agree with you, and I understand. I see trash in my yard every day, and I live down right by the fish hatchery. I mean, people leave stuff in the back of the truck. I can't tell you how many Dunkin' Donuts cups I pick up every day in my front yard. And my house is not new. It was built in 1850. It's been here a long time. Again, then I see they want to talk about suggested fees for the large trash. What do they call it? White goods, like refrigerators, stoves, bulky waste. I thought we were under the impression when we stopped that fee thing, because of before, it was all the dumping used to find in the service road and stuff like that. And it is. I mean, policing it's going to be very, I see it as difficult. And another case in point with this woman is April vacation. I ride and walk around town a lot. And the end of April vacation, I ride my bike, go across the boardwalk. There's 4 white trash bags sitting at the one can at the Town Beach parking lot. I ride my bike Monday morning. There's Billy Hawkins coming down with the town Packer truck picking it up. So, I mean, is there really going to be a true way to police all this if it does happen? I mean, it is happening. I mean, I'm just guessing that in Town Neck, that person probably has a summer house there. They're not here for the summer. They came down for vacation week with their children or whatever. They have 4 bags of trash and it sat there. I mean, you know, the animals didn't get it, but come summertime when it gets hot, and we'll see what happens on the weekend. I mean, it's got to be a concern.
I think there seems to be a concern about it happening right now already, even without pay-as-you-throw. So it is something that we need to take a look at with the police as well, through enforcement and fines. The question really related to pay-as-you-throw is, will it increase? I've heard that it won't, but it's something that we're going to monitor and we'll keep track of.
And Kevin Redmond, 4 Horseshoe Circle. We haven't got enough cops to protect us, so you're not going to have cops chasing people for garbage. Please don't do that. Whatever cost it's going to happen for this extra waste that's being dumped elsewhere, you're going to raise the prices again to cover it. Because it's the only way the town's going to be able to cover it. Extra manpower to go chase down garbage throwers, okay? And the other question I had was, of all the things you talked about tonight, you didn't talk about the big stuff. Like you want to throw out a piece of furniture or something. The rest of the people haven't read this yet. It's $10 a pop for everything. That's starting to get really expensive. What are you going to do with it? Okay? There's not every place that you buy stuff from is going to take your old stuff back. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to take a piece of furniture, I'm going to cut up and burn it. So now we got waste burning in the town that's going to cause pollution that way. So where are you helping?
You're already paying for that right now. We have to pay a disposal fee for those large refrigerators, the mattresses. There's a disposal fee for that. But by using this system, which everybody else uses it on Cape Cod, we were the last town to do it, is charge nominal $10 fee for only certain items, not every item. And what it does, again, the people that are subsidizing the others who are bringing that stuff in weekly should not be subsidizing them. So we're going to charge a $10 fee for those items. They're non-routine items. People don't throw those away very often unless they're part of a pickup company, drop them off for free. We have people in Barnstable that know of our free disposal, and they travel from Barnstable. They find someone in Sandwich who has a sticker. They bring it down here. It's free. That's not fair in my mind. So that $10 fee will eliminate the people who are not dumping these things to subsidize the others.
Good evening. My name is Drew Latine, 220 Mill Road. I've asked this question before, and I'll ask it again, about the second vehicle. The gentleman over here touched on that earlier. Why am I being charged for a second vehicle when my household produces X amount of trash? I could have 100 vehicles bringing that trash in. It's only X amount of trash. So my question is, why am I being charged for a second vehicle at my household? Which I should not be.
The charge for the second vehicle is no different than it has been for, I'm not sure how long that policy's been in place, but it's something the selectmen adopted many, many, many years ago. And essentially, that second sticker, all it does is cover the cost of the sticker, any administration fee that goes along with that, $10 for that.
My name is Dick Riley from Arnold Road. Just a couple comments. Was the public invited to put any input into this? That's my first question. Was the public invited to have a meeting like this before a decision was made? You made a point that the thing isn't fair. As we all heard in life, I think life isn't always fair. I put no kids in the Sandwich school system, but I don't mind paying taxes for it. I don't use the Sandwich library, but I don't mind paying taxes for it. So life isn't always fair. This is a one-time, one institution type thing where you're suddenly concerned about being fair. That I don't understand it. I know Mashpee just had a vote on this, and they're at town meeting, and they turned it down decisively. We don't get that opportunity. This has all been done, signed, sealed, and delivered now. The bag contract is made, everything's taken care of, and you're nice enough to give us a meeting tonight to explain what you're going to do, not what we, the taxpayers, would like you to do. There is just no need for that type of situation that you impose this upon the town without getting their opinion first. We're the people paying the fee. We should have some say in the matter. There is a tremendous amount of stuff, and as you said, you didn't mention at all tonight about the big stuff. No, that hasn't been written up in the paper or anything else. It's a little corner in the flyer here tonight. I went down to the dump last week without any big stuff, and I was astounded at the amount of stuff that was put there. And if everyone has to pay $10 in that last little bin that says household goods, no, they're not going to do it. I wouldn't do it. If I got a broken chair, I can't recycle it, I can't reuse it, and I can't take it to Salvation Army. So I don't understand. You ought to, be honest up front about it. All you talked about tonight was bags. Nothing else. And I read in the paper a while ago that it's already in there that the bags are going to go up each year. They did a projection in the newspaper anyway of 5 years out that it's going to cost more than it costs now in 5 years, even though now it may cost less, because the bags are going to go up every year. You're nodding your head yes, but you just said they could go down, which we know isn't going to happen. They're not going to go down in price. They're going to go up, and the fee's going to go up. And so I don't understand why you couldn't have held a meeting and get the public input on this situation. And as they say, why you're dealing with a dump is something different than schools, libraries, or other things. I'll pay for them in my taxes if I have to. I'm not suggesting that people pay as you use the school, or pay as you use the library, or pay as you use the dump. I think those are things that we expect to pay in our taxes. So.
I would like to mention that we've been going through this process for probably about 2 years now. I think we've had no less than 5 public hearings with the Board of Selectmen talking about the prices, talking about the analysis. So there's been opportunities for people to comment on it. As far as the you reduce the solid waste fees for the town. When that happens, those fees can be passed on to the users to keep the stickers and the bag fees low.
I'm Joanne O'Keefe, and I'm at Quaker Meeting House Road right currently. When I was a kid, I loved to take the trash out because it was an old Quincy oil container, and you could throw the trash in there and you could just light it on fire, and I liked to play with fire. I mean, it was fun. I didn't like to take the garbage out because it was in the ground and you had to go like that and you never knew what was inside. You know, when I was first married, it was curbside, didn't have to worry about it. However, and people don't like change. We're in a position that we're in crossroads and we have to change, and I have been following the pay-as-you-throw. And it comes down to this, that we can't rely on someone else just coming and taking our trash or leaving it outside and picking it up. Out of 100 and some odd communities, there are 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. They have been faced and have been in halls just exactly like this. And they have to take and consider what is the best way for us to move into the future, adopt a change, and move forward. And what I hear Paul Tilton saying is that, and I don't recycle. I have to tell you, I'm a family of one, and I'm very bad. But we have to change what our behavior is and not have to be at the mercy of the, 2015. We're way ahead of the game. This isn't going to be thrust upon you in 1 year or 2 years. That contract is running out, and by the time it runs out, what you're going to pay will be more than, you won't have any control, and it will be more unaffordable, if that makes sense. So right now in this room, we're taking our trash into our own hands and deciding whether we are going to make recycling, reuse, and part of our behavior. And all the other things about how much the bags cost and things like that, it will be a little bit difficult for each and every one of us to get used to, but if you have a better, what it comes down to, what the question is, if there's a better way and you know it, then bring it forward and we can do it. But I think with what I've seen the Board of Selectmen is, this, in their estimation, is the best plan affordable right now and looking towards the future. So that's what I hear. Change isn't easy, and I'll give it to the person I took it away from.
Nancy Mann, Overlook Drive. This is the first time I've ever gotten up to speak at anything. I agree with this gentleman. I think we've been railroaded. This is supposed to be have selectmen, a little group of selectmen deciding what we all should be doing, which is more like a dictatorship as far as I'm concerned. We should have always had a meeting with everything and let the people decide. I thought that's what town government was supposed to be. Instead we're being told, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to be forced to do this. Then we're going to hear about cameras. What are we going to have, the first police state on Cape Cod? I mean, this is ridiculous. You know, the people that want to recycle can recycle. My bag cost is 1 bag a week for 19 cents. And you're going to charge me $1.20? Where's my savings? And it's the same thing. I don't have kids in the school. I don't use the library. Where is the fair? You're selling us the bill of goods, and you're giving us stuff, and you want us to believe it's good for us, and it's not. And the town is going to make money, and our property tax bills are not going to go down. And everybody says they don't want to live in Sandwich because the property taxes are too high, and you don't get any good town services. This is all I hear. Okay, there's a lot of people who want to move over to Barnstable. And this is the reputation that the town is getting. You know, if you want to sell a house in Sandwich, no one's going to want to buy it. And how come the town of Brewster just renewed their contract with CMAS? That was on the radio today. How come the town of Mashpee can go and make a decision, but we can't? It sounds like, you know, the SWAT, what is that, the SWAT team? That's a really good name for it, isn't it? Because we've all just been swatted. Because that's what a SWAT team does. It goes in and we're out being treated like a bunch of peons, you know, we're the peasants, you know, like the gulag. That's what it's starting to feel like. And then what will you do? You know, have more people, you know, on the police force so they can watch everything that we do and go through the bags of trash at night? It's amazing that you can be here. You'll probably be up all night picking through your trash for, you know, for tomorrow. I mean, who has time for all this? You know, I just think you're selling us a bill of goods, and I think the government has overstated its power. You know, I just don't think this is that the people for the town that should make decisions and sit in a town meeting and decide what's best for them, instead of 4 or 5 people in the selectmen deciding what's the best thing for us, like a bunch of kids. It's just wrong.
Elizabeth Friend, 187 Main Street. First of all, to just change the tenor of last few minutes, talk about recycle. Come to my yard sale on Saturday. There's going to be everybody in the world there, and it's going to be wonderful. So 187 Main Street. Please, really. But I also have to say that while I understand what a lot of people are saying, you know, the cost of the bags and and I never knew about any open meetings to discuss this either. But on the other hand, I also vote, and most of you vote. And we voted for the selectmen. I have talked with the selectmen. The selectmen do not sit around and think of bad things to do. This was, in their opinion, the right thing to do. We voted for them. If, in fact, it turns out to be the wrong thing, as Franklin Roosevelt said, we'll try something. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. And we've got to clean up the environment. We've got to stop dumping stuff. We've got to clean up the environment. We've got to save something for our grandchildren. And this place is a mess. If you know the right places to look. I sympathize with the lady on Mill Road. That is terrible up there. I've seen it. But we have to start somewhere.
Jackie Judson from Bramblebush Drive in Forestdale. I have no trouble with recycling. My problem is with the cost of the bags. My daughter lives in Plainville, and she doesn't have to buy the bags. They buy a sticker to put on their own bags. I buy my bags when they're on sale with a coupon. I will be paying much more to get these trash bags. I just don't know why they decided to go with buying, you have to buy the town trash bags, when you could sell a sticker to put on your own trash bag, which would save a little bit and still make the money to make up the difference for CMAS.
We did look at a bunch of different options, including the sticker or the tag that you tie around the bag. And there's some towns that have done it. Some of the towns have gotten away from that. It's cheaper, no question about it. The problem that we found out with the stickers and talking to a lot of towns is that they do fall off. They tend to fall off in bad weather. The other problem that I spoke to one director about is that people make fake stickers. It's easier to make a fake sticker than a fake bag, so that was an issue. We thought the bags was the best way to go rather than the sticker for that reason.
Lou Ben, East Sandwich. I have a couple of questions. I'm a little confused as to why we have to pay somebody to manage the distribution of bags. That's my first question. The second question is, you mentioned food recycling, which was 13% of our household trash. Where do we recycle food at the dump? And the other thing is that if we really want people to recycle, it seems like we should have a more user-friendly layout at the dump to get people to recycle. I was there today, and I suppose Wednesday's the second day of the week, but it was early morning, not a lot of people there, but every single slot was filled in the recycling area. So it's kind of a challenge to use the recycling area, because you've either got to back in and out of the area to throw away your basic trash, and then you're confronted with the same issue to get into the recycling area. It would seem to me we should concentrate on the layout, particularly if you want and you anticipate more people are going to be using it. The other thing is that if the tipping fees are going from $37 to $85 or $90, okay, so that's 2 times, maybe 2.5 times, but doesn't that carry forward for a period of 5, 10, 15 years, or whatever the particular contract period is? And if that's true, and we currently are getting by with a $110 basic sticker fee, and the tipping fees double, then it seems to me we should be able to pay $220 a year to dump our trash. And maybe I'd rather pay the $220 than go through the aggravation of trying to get all these bags and so forth. And the last question that I have, and I know I've given you a few of them, is that in the selectmen's meeting, they've talked about the fact that this is going to be an enterprise fund, which means that the amount of money that's being paid to run the dump will be fee-based. And therefore, our taxes are actually going up without anybody voting on it at all, to the tune of $700,000 divided by the $60 million plus year budget that we have. So it seems like we should have been able to vote on this issue. And I guess my last question is, and forgive me for hitting you so hard here, but don't we in fact pay a penalty because we're short on tonnage to CMAS? And those are, I guess, all my basic questions. Thank you. And I'd be happy to repeat them if need be.
Let's see if I can address all of these. Why did we choose, the first question, why did we choose someone to distribute the bags for us? The reason for that, again, we looked at some options there. One was to hire someone. We thought that the best way to do this the first year or two is to have someone with the knowledge that understood how this program works, how to make adjustments to the program, and sort of guide us along the way, because we were coming in cold. That's why we selected the vendor from the state bid, because that seemed like the best process for the first couple of years to help us out with the implementation. The next question, the escalation, the increase in the solid waste fees with the new contract is probably going to include an escalation clause where that's going to increase each year as well. And you mentioned, why not just keep the sticker fee? Why not raise the sticker fee price as well? We did that analysis. I didn't bring all my analysis with me tonight in part of the presentation, but I've gone over this over and over again, many analysis. I've looked at different scenarios. The one problem with that scenario is if you just raise a sticker, there's no incentive to recycle. When there's no incentive to recycle, we're still going to be paying a lot more for the solid waste fees. And if we pay a lot more, on average, no one wins in that situation. With the recycling, with the pay-as-you-throw issue, you encourage recycling, you're going to lower those solid waste fees, whether it's $80, $90 or what have you. And so that will save the town money, and again, be passed on to the users for the lower bag or sticker fees. Next question was the penalty. There is a penalty if we don't meet a certain tonnage from the railroad company. We have an agreement with 3 other towns, Bourne, Mashpee, and Falmouth, where we operate the Upper Cape Regional Transfer Station. If we don't meet 40,000 tons per year as part of the agreement with Mass Coastal, we have to make up the difference. It's sort of a penalty we pay for the tonnage. However, if recycling lowers our solid waste, what that does, it takes the $37 per ton off the board that we don't have to pay. The Mass Coastal rate is only $8. So we essentially make out. And the biggest problem right now with meeting that penalty is the private haulers. Some of the private haulers are not going to the Upper Cape Regional Transfer Station like they're supposed to. We're working with them right now to get them back there to increase that tonnage so we meet that minimum. Layout. I'm concerned about the layout as well. The problem we have there is we're very confined. We don't have much room to work with. We're bounded by Route 130, Route 6 as well, and the landfill. There's not much room there. We've looked at plans in the past. I think 6 or 7 years ago, we looked at a $1 million plan. We looked at a $2 million plan, but it was chosen not to proceed with that because it was too expensive. So we made some recent improvements. They're not ideal, but I think they work better. I think that, as I said earlier, if the traffic does increase, if the pay-as-you-throw program is successful, we may have to do something else. We may have to expand that area. We may have to look at getting additional containers. It's something we will definitely consider. I'm sorry? Food scraps. Yes, right now, we recommend that you compost your own food scraps. Now, there are some towns that do accept food scraps. We're not there yet. Again, I'm not sure we even have the room to do that, but it's something we would consider. But as part of this program, I recommend that you compost your food scraps in a compost bin. Yes, the first year is not going to really change from what it is right now. There's a tax subsidy, which is about 50%. The stickers are 50%. That's going to stay the same. Each year, I will go in front of the selectmen, ask them what they want to do. Do they want to increase pay-as-you-throw coverage to 75%? Do they want to increase it to 100%? If there is money left over from that tax subsidy, again, that's up to the Board of Selectmen as to what they want to do with that money.
I just got one last question. You're ahead of the dump. Is that who's in charge of the dump? Public Works. Public Works, yeah. You? Okay. Anybody here a waste treatment engineer? Anybody had any college education in how to do this? Or what are we dealing with? I'm just trying to find out what our level of management skills and technology in the town as compared to what we're using as a guide for this company that we're going with. So I'm just looking to see what our level here of management is. Can you tell me?
Personally, I'm a registered professional engineer. I've had experience in this field. I've studied in that field. Sean's had experience for many years in this field as well. Anytime we feel something is beyond our expertise, we'll go out and consult. We hire consultants to help us out in situations. So I think we're more than capable of making appropriate decisions about the transfer station. We, as part of our SWAT team, which was made up of town officials, former selectmen, general public, we also had a consultant on board with environmental experience. So he was very helpful throughout the process as we were making our decisions.
Francis Devaney again. One last question. How are the bagmen going to be paid?
The bagmen meaning the company that distributes the bags?
The company that's handling this, how much is it costing and how much are we paying?
How much are we paying them? Their cost for the service is minimal. All right. For my estimates, based on what I've seen in some of the numbers, I think it's about $18,000 for the service to oversee the accounting system, distribution of the bags. Now, the bags themselves, there's a price for the bags. I don't know what their profit margin is. Most companies aren't willing to reveal that. I mean, I can ask him, but I,
Well, it's gonna cost me $300 to dump on trash. It used to cost me 110.
yeah.
That's an increase of 200%. Where is this savings? It's an increase in tax. I pay a fortune in tax as it is now. I'm gonna charge you. Why? How much is it gonna cost us to hire this company in the town? Answer your question. If you don't know, you shouldn't sign a contract.
Yeah, I think the estimates for everything was about $90,000. Now, I don't know what the profit margin is again for the bags. I mean, as I said before, most companies don't reveal the profit margin. I mean, those are just estimates that we've looked at, and it's.
30 gallon bag, how much pounds? 39 cents. So how much you want to pay? If you don't know,
Again, the whole intent of this program is to reduce our cost. We're not. Well, it's not a hidden tax. It's up to the selectmen. If they want to use that tax subsidy elsewhere, then that's their decision. Okay, the bag fees are going to cover the disposal cost for solid waste.
the bag costs 20 cents. Yeah. And you're selling it for pounds for $1.20. The town's gonna pick up an additional $1 bag. Is that right?
Yes, but some of that goes to Waste Zero, and that money is used to cover the transportation budget. The sticker fee is going down. Okay. That's why we're extending the sticker through another half year. So coverage is for a year and a half now for that. Anybody else who hasn't spoke yet?
Thank you. Arlene Mill, I live on Knott Ave in Sandwich. And I think the traffic flow at Waste Management should be a primary concern. It's like bumper cars right now, and you have idle attendants who do not guide traffic, and if you're adding more and more segregation to trash, it really is going to be an impossible situation. The lines for the stalls are never painted at an adequate time. There's visibility of boundaries for parking are not visible. So I think the traffic flow has to be considered if you're going to ask us to pay for additional services. Recycling and doing things ecologically always has a price tag to it. It's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that this whole program cannot be built on incentive rather than dollar and still come out with the same results. My question is, where do you put all the stuff that you're not to include? You know, diapers, they're in every part of our life. Infancy, sanitary napkins, and Depends. You know, for that, that alone, and kitty litter. what is all, do we kill our cats? You know, where does all of these things that are on this list do not include our mounds of things in our daily life? I'm through.
I'll try to address these questions one at a time. The first was the traffic flow. I believe we stripe those lines at least once a year, more often than that. And if for any reason you see the lines are not painted, feel free to give us a call. We'll get right out there and take care of it. But we try to keep up with the pavement markings. The traffic flow is not ideal. As I said before, that site is very constrained by its boundaries. There's not a whole heck of a lot we can do out there. We continue to evaluate ways to make that better. We'll continue to do that as well. The incentive, the environmental incentive, you said there's always a cost. This is one of those times when recycling is saving us money. It's not costing us any more money. It's going to save us money. It's going to reduce our fees for solid waste. Now, some people are going to pay more. They don't recycle, and they generate a lot of trash. Some people are going to be paying less if they recycle and they don't generate trash. But it's one time when I think, you know, the recycling, the environmental part of this is saving the town money. The cat litter, I think there's cat litter that's you can compost as long as you clean out the feces. What is it? Feline pine. You can compost that. You have to throw it away. Into the waste stream. Into the waste stream. You just have to pay for it. John?
John Fitch. Thanks, Paul. I surprise myself. I do so much recycling, and I support your efforts. I'm not persuaded from what I've watched, not just tonight, but earlier than that the current pay-as-you-throw program is really going to work, and for a lot of the reasons we've heard here. But I have one question that, rather than give it back and forth, if I make a statement and you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong, because I've been wanting to know the answer. In this recycling business, not all of us have younger brothers who would wear their clothes, and yours is lucky. There's nothing on here about how to recycle clothing. Now, I understand there's 2 trailers at the transfer station, and I had further understood that, and this is where I need your verification, one of them pays the town money and one of them does not. Is that correct? Okay, good. Without getting into the business of whether or not we should favor one charity over another, could you kindly please clearly mark the trailer where the town gets revenue? Now, as we transition to a enterprise fund, and from what I've heard here, costs make a difference, or revenue to the dump is going to make a difference. But for years, those 2 trailers have been there, and it's only if you ask a question do you find out that one of them actually makes money for the town. And as we go forward, we'll hopefully reduce the costs. And again, with this transition to enterprise fund, the management efficiency over there becomes an issue for me. So it's a request, a clearly marked statement on the trailer, whichever it is, that pays us money, would allow us all to put our recyclable clothing where it gets the best bang. Thanks.
Have you spoken yet? Okay, thanks. I'll get right back to you.
My concern, you know, I'm from Nantucket originally, and we still have a house over there, so if you think this is bad, try to go over there. And they literally have people picking through your garbage and your clear bags telling you, take that straw out of your bag. Okay? So I understand the dilemma. My question and concern is with distrust of the way the monies are spent. This is supposed to offset the cost of transportation and disposal of our trash. But it also gives the selectmen free rein to raise the price as they see fit and to use the money in the budget as they see fit. Whereas if I'm going to pay the money for the disposal and transportation of my trash, if the revenue is more than the expenses, I want that money set aside for improvements to the DPW and to the the area that we have to use, or for additional areas for recycling, so that there isn't such a congestion at the transfer station now. I don't think that it's fair that the selectmen have free rein over that monies.
I can't say that I agree with that statement. Giving money back to DPW is okay with me.
Peter Gwynn again. you seem to be carrying the can for a decision made by another body, in other words, the selectmen. Is there any reason why there's no selectmen here to address this?
They are here. If anybody would like to speak? Frank? Yeah.
How many here went to the Maytown meeting? My name is Frank Penorfi, by the way. I'm chairman of the board of the selectmen. I just took office about 2 weeks ago. I was part of the SWAT team that looked at a number of different operations for about a year and a half before we made a recommendation. For those of you who went to the Maytown meeting, there was a warrant article that talked about setting up an enterprise fund for this particular project. The monies collected, whether they be the fees, whether they be bag fees, are all going to go into the enterprise fund, which simply means that, aside from all of the accounting that's required by the state, simply means that the monies are going to have to be spent for that particular program, in this case, the transfer station, to fund and to keep it operational, okay? Let me ask, and I don't know if does that clarify for you? Well, I can't, address rumors. I'm just telling you what are facts right now. You people here who went to town meeting, okay, voted to set up an enterprise fund to address the issue that you just raised, okay? Let me answer the question about the taxes, okay? The first year, we will derive no benefit because the fiscal year 12 budget was set by the last Board of Selectmen, okay? In other words, they appropriated approximately $700,000 or so in taxes to subsidize the transfer station. The other $725,000 or so is subsidized by the sticker fee, okay? The first year, you're going to start collecting fees. It takes a year for the monies collected under this program through bags, through fees, to clear through the Department of Revenue to become what they call free cash. So we won't have use of that, okay? So the question comes next year. What happens if, in fact, we're successful in raising enough revenue to essentially replace the tax base? You have three options with respect to that money that is tax money, okay? You can do, number one, you can reduce the 2.5 appropriation. That's one option. Number two, you can cover the costs of increasing and maintaining services. Or number three, you can add more services to the town. So those are the three options. I don't know what the money is going to be, so I can't answer what we're going to do or what you want to do, because this is going to be on the budget at town meeting where you do have a chance to vote for it, okay? There were a couple of other items. This gentleman, I believe, mentioned earlier with respect to, well, I don't pay, I don't have any kids in school and all of that kind of thing. That's absolutely true. This particular program, as Paul said earlier, is not something that we're required to, in fact, provide. In fact, if you remember what he said earlier, there were two options. Actually, when we made the presentation back in August of last year, we came up with, I think it was 5 options. The selectman at the time said to us, okay, fine, we'd like you to go back and look at just 2 of the 5 that you presented, the pay-as-you-throw or the closing of the transfer station. We went back, we did a bunch of numbers, we came back to the Board of Selectmen. Board of Selectmen decided to stay in the transfer station business for now as a way of, in fact, controlling costs. Because believe me, it's not only your tipping fees that are going to be going up in 3 years. Paul mentioned transportation fees. Don't you think transportation fees are going to be going up as well? I don't think we've seen the full impact of what the increases are going to be. This is an attempt to get ahead of it, to avoid you folks in 3 years coming back to the selectmen, whoever they may be, saying, why didn't you do something about it 3 years ago? That's what this is all about, okay? The other point, fairness. I have there are 2 people in my family, my wife and I I could take the position that says simply this. I don't generate much trash. Why should I have to pay $110 simply like the other family who has 17 people in it? Is that fair? It's not. Let me give you some other information, all right? So you have the full picture of what's going on here. Approximately 5 years ago, there were approximately 6 families or individuals who actually fabricated their stickers for their cars. We caught them. They made them on their computer. They're pretty good until some of our people noticed that they didn't look right, okay? Now, who do you think is picking up that money, you know, that those people are not paying their fair share? The answer is simple, you are, okay? Let me give you some other information so that you have, again, the full picture here. Did you ever go to the transfer station and see a pickup truck having maybe 50, 60 bags on it? I don't care what color they are, all right? Do you think one family can generate 50 or 60 bags? The answer is no. I don't care who you are, all right? What is happening, and we know this is happening, and we've, in fact, proven it a couple of times. Some of these trucks that come in are simply going around the neighborhood, they buy one sticker, and they collect multiple house trash and bring it in. Who is paying for that? You are, okay? All we're asking you to do, all right, is to give this a shot. That's all we're asking you to do, all right? We're trying to do something that we think is of benefit to everyone in this town, not to the selectmen. The selectmen gain nothing out of this. The town doesn't make a profit out of this, okay? We're trying to control your taxes. You may not see it right now, but that's the total objective here, okay? And I'd be happy to answer any other questions that may come up. But I wanted you to have a perspective that goes beyond just thinking about the bag prices. The bag prices are designed. There is a nominal cost, and I don't know what it is. I forget. John mentioned it to me at one point in time and what his profit, or I should say his fees are for his service. But the point of charging whether it's 20 cents or 25 cents for an 8-gallon bag or 60 cents for a 15-gallon bag and $1.20 for a 30-gallon bag is to replace the revenue that's needed to run the transfer station. This revenue, again, will be used next year. That's what this is for. That's the way this operates. Francis, I don't know what you're talking when you say hi. Please, tell me what you're talking about. Why didn't we say it? Is that what you're asking? Well, I think that's what I heard. I mean, maybe I'm listening to it a little differently than you, but the money, the additional money above whether it's 19 cents, whether it's 39 cents that you see as a differential, okay, is going to be going into this enterprise fund not to be used to buy something for the police department or fire, to be able to, in fact, pay the fees, to be able to, hopefully we'll have enough money when we need equipment to buy equipment, that kind of thing. That's what it's going to be used for, okay?
Why don't you, as a selectman, know the cost, how much it's going to cost the town to pay this company to do that work?
I think Paul said $90,000. I'm going to be perfect. Isn't that what I thought you said, Paul, about 90,000? But that includes the bags, the cost of the bags. Wait a minute, I'm having trouble hearing you, Francis. The $90,000 goes to pay the manufacturer to manufacture the bags, to put the logo on the bags, to... well, you're asking, I'm just trying to give you kind of a perspective. Somebody has to incur the cost. John, I mean, am I misstating something with respect to? Okay.
Our company, first of all, our company does probably over 70 communities right here in Massachusetts. We do 300 nationwide. We've been doing this for 19 years now. I've been with the company for 4 years, just to give you a real brief background. Before then, I was the business manager for Public Works in the town of Natick, and we implemented this program in 2003. And there's very similar questions that are being asked here tonight that were asked in 2003 at that town. However, we didn't have the intelligence to do the enterprise. We didn't do it that way. And that's what most communities that are implementing the program now are doing that, and it works. The price of the large bag in the contract is 23 cents. I believe the smallest bag is 14. I don't have it right in front of me, and I think the middle-sized bag is 15. That's for manufacturing the bag. Their drawstrings, they're 1.5 mil. That is what the price to be sold to the town. That includes the manufacturing. With the help of the town, we set up all the stores that Paul gave you tonight. We'll be distributing to the stores. I'll personally meet every one of the owners or managers and review again the procedures of ordering the bags each week. We deliver them through FedEx, and the larger stores, they get a trailer because they order pallets. We store our bags in Holyoke, fully secured and insured by us and the warehouse. We bill, once the stores receive the goods, it's their product just like anything else they sell in that store. We bill the stores for the town of Sandwich. They send a check made out to the town of Sandwich to our bank. Only thing we can do down there, the account is in the town of Sandwich's name. All we can do is make deposits, and at the end of the month, make sure that the town of Sandwich gets the wire transfer for the entire amount of the total sale. We invoice them on the price of the bag. So right now, I think the initial order was, I believe it was like 32. We're doing a lot of towns right now, so I can't remember. I think it was 28,000 or something like that, Paul. And that's for all the bags for the initial part. I don't know how many bags the town of Sandwich is going to use. We estimate on all of our communities, the 300 communities, the average household, that's an average, some have 10, some have 1, use 1.2 to 1.25 bags a week. And believe me, you probably think I'm crazy saying that, that's the average. It's the average in the city of Malden, it's the average in the town of Grafton. That's what they use. Where we don't know the total price for the whole month, for the whole year. We did an estimate, what Paul did, but someone in the room said, I'm going to buy the 8-gallon bags. Well, we just did a percentage of households buying certain size bags. So we'll adjust that as the next order comes. So if there's a run on the 8-gallon bags, we'll be manufacturing more and less of the 15 and probably the 30-gallon. But that's what we have to watch for the 3 months. And that's where our expertise and knowledge comes in. We have someone watching that inventory every week. And in the first 4 months, they watch it twice a week to 3 times a week to see how the shipments are going. I'll be in contact with the town, especially with Paul and everybody at the transfer station, and we adjust the program because every town is a tad different. We have averages, but we think you're going to be falling in there. We may be off a half a bag. I don't know. We'll find out, but we make the adjustments. So that's where the charge comes in, and that's all of that, all the services we do for you, plus the town gets a monthly report. And it's a financial booklet that includes everything from a schedule of accounts receivables, from what the store owes, right down to the initial order and all the cash deposits. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. That's what I mentioned. I'm personally, what I'm going to do. Stop and Shop and all the other stores, they're given instructions 2 ways. One is a letter from us, well, 3 ways. One's going to be a letter from us, from our headquarters. Then also they're going to get a phone call. All the stores will be from my headquarters, and I'm going to go around and deliver some signs to them, and I'll remind them. We're going to recommend that they order a large quantity before the program starts, and if they don't sell them, we'll give them a credit. So hopefully they'll all start. I can't make Stop and Shop or any store, order what I think it's going to be. We're going to encourage them to and give them a credit that they don't sell. That's why we're going to be, that's why I'm going to talk to each store. Well, we can make deliveries. We do it once a week, and that's what they normally order, is like a 2 to 3 week order. So we estimate that, and we're going to go high because it's the summer, and we're going to have some additional residents here. No. No, that's why, Paul, how many stores you have, Paul? 13, and they're scattered around the towns like raisins in a cake, so it's going to be convenient. Stop and Shop has done this for all our 70 communities. They know how to order, and I'll meet with the manager. Their headquarters does this for all of our communities. They've been participating in this program for a long time. Your middle-sized bag will fit in them. It should fit properly in that. Right. Depends on the it depends on the shape of the trash barrel. 30-gallon trash barrel sometimes is not round. It's kind of like a rectangular top. It won't fit in that. So what all of our communities do, they put the large bag in there, and as it fills up, they just pull it up.
Let me just follow up. There was one item that was, or a question that was raised with respect to hearings. This program first came up, or the idea first came up in late 2009. In January of 2010, Randy Hunt, former selectman, suggested to the Board of Selectmen that they look into the pay-as-you-throw program. John Kennan was the chairman of the board, I believe, at that time. He called me, and I was in the selectman at the time, and he asked me if I would sit in, help, and look at this particular program, which I did. We were given, I think, our marching orders, so sometime in the spring, to come up with our first report, which we did, and as I recall it, I think it was in May, Paul, maybe, that we did an initial report to the Board of Selectmen. They asked us to go back and do some additional work, which we did, and that's when we appeared in August. And subsequently, they asked us to make a specific recommendation that was done in October. I recall 2 meetings that were called by the Board of Selectmen, essentially during time was set aside within the Board of Selectmen's meetings to hear from the public. I remember a couple of people, because I know them, that came up and spoke at both of those particular meetings. So my point is this. There were meetings that were not posted in the traditional sense, but announced, both at the selectmen's meetings, both in the newspaper. I remember reading the paper. I've got a complete file, or at least I had a file. I gave it, I think, to Jack Edmondson. But, well, that's exactly what I'm saying was done. No, no, they had set time aside to hear from the public. Oh, well. Well, the answer to your question, I guess, is this is the result. We can argue. It has. The selectmen have made the decision. I'm sorry? Well, you can call, you can describe it that way if you prefer. I do not, so.
Be right back to you, Andrew.
Say we didn't have this meeting, we didn't do anything at town meeting. What would be the consequence next year, the year after, and the year after? Where would we be at? And I know it's expensive to close a dump, landfill.
Financially, transportation costs are going up every year. Right now we're looking at negotiating with not only CMAS, but with Bourne and other potential disposal facilities to set ourselves up for the future of solid waste disposal. And no matter who we choose, the cost is going to go up. There's no question about that. That's a given. The market for solid waste disposal is really high. As I mentioned, the sooner we start this, the better off we'll be. I anticipate we'll reduce our cost by $100,000 that first year. By 2015, we'll reduce our cost by about $200,000. So I hope that answers your question. Just one thing I wanted to point out about the bag fees, and I've done a lot of research on this. I've called up a lot of DPW directors in Massachusetts that have adopted this. I'm sure that their residents were skeptical at first, but the program is well received now. There's states in this country that are 100% pay as you throw. It's something that it is working. I know from the bag standpoint for the cost, I've looked at a bunch of different bag fees throughout this state. We're probably one of the lowest. And why are we the lowest? Because we have one of the lowest transfer station budgets. And that's because we're efficient. We don't have a high budget because we get by with what little we have. I urge you to take a look at our bag cost compared to anybody else's bag cost. We're much lower. And that's because it's directly related to the transfer station budget.
All right, just to kind of ease here, because I'm noticing certain questions going around. I think it was this gentleman over here that said something about the, I just had it in my mind too, I hate when that happens. I'll think of it, I know I will. This lady right here at the end said something about the traffic in that town dump. I can tell you now from experience going through that dump for several years, it is much better than it used to be. You never used to go all the way around, come up behind the thing, and go up. They have improved that very well in the section that it has. Right, but you said the traffic flowing through. This gentleman's done a beautiful job on recreating that and making it a little bit easier than it used to, because you used to go through there. It was a nightmare to go to that town dump.
We are going to take into consideration all your comments. I understand the traffic flow is not ideal. I understand this is a new program. Again, as I said before, I had some skepticism as well. I've done a lot of research, okay? I think this is the right thing to do. I really do. I know it's going to save the town some money. I know our budget's going to drop. I will take all of your concerns into consideration in the future as well. I would only ask if there's any new questions out there, not repeat questions.
It's not a question. For those who don't want to be a part of the program, don't they have the option of contracting with privately?
Absolutely, that is an option, to use private haulers. That will not change. I believe the rate's about $400 per year right now to use the private haulers, but that still remains an option. It's allowed through the state bid. It's allowed through the state bid. The state procures different vendors for services. They were one of the 3 that allowed that, so that is the procurement process. Yes, it's on state website. Yeah, we have a contract with them as well. No, again, the procurement process is done by the state. The state puts out bids for the services. 3 companies were the low bidders. They offer their services to the state. Each town can use that state bid. Very similar to construction bids that we use for Barnstable County. Correct. Right. Right. It's off that state bid. We actually negotiate a lower price compared to the state bid with the vendor. Our contract or the state contract? Yeah, it's compass.com, I believe. But if you want to leave your email address, I can forward that to you. Yeah, I believe it's COMMPASS.com. It's actually, it's not that unique anymore. You can actually use procurement bids from around the country now. You can find the lowest price and use those bids. I can do that for construction if I want. I can do it for services. It's picking up some steam right now, and it's happening everywhere. Okay. Any final questions? I appreciate you coming tonight. We do have some recycling bins to give away. If you want to stick around, feel free.